Adana stood at the departure gate, her fingers trembling around the strap of her worn leather bag. Behind her was the dusty heat of Lagos. Ahead was a new life in New York. She had no job waiting, no apartment secured, just a dream burning in her chest, and a promise to her mother, "I'll make it. I'll send money home every month." And she did. 10 years passed. 10 long years of scrubbing toilets, babysitting, and working double shifts at a diner. Her life in America was anything but glamorous. She shared cramped apartments, $8 meals, and wore the same coat through 5 winters. But every month, without fail, she sent money back to Nigeria, for her mother's medicine, for her brother's education, for the family house's renovation. They were her purpose. Adana missed weddings. She missed funerals. She missed the birth of her niece and the passing of her father. Each time she picked up the phone, her family told her the same thing: "Stay there. Keep going. You're making us proud." But then the calls became fewer. Her messages went unanswered. Her mother stopped picking up. And one day, Adana discovered something online, a post on her brother's social media. A party. Laughter. Luxury cars. The caption read, "Blessed life. Hard work pays off." Hard work. Adana's hands were those of a woman who scrubbed America clean. What hard work had her brother done? Her heart heavy with suspicion, she decided to go home. But not as herself. She contacted a friend who worked with an NGO that helped deportees reintegrate. Together, they created a plan. Adana would return disguised as a deportee, broke, ashamed, and unrecognizable. She wanted to see her family's reaction. She needed to know the truth. And what she found when she returned was a betrayal deeper than she ever imagined. The blistering heat of Lagos hit Ifema like a slap the moment she stepped off the plane. Dressed in second-hand clothes and carrying nothing but a worn-out duffel bag, she looked every bit the deportee she was pretending to be. It wasn't a lie, per se. Her papers had expired, and while she hadn't been forcibly deported, she had left under duress after losing her job and struggling to survive in America. 10 years. 10 years of working 3 jobs, sleeping in basements, enduring racism, sending money back to her family in Nigeria every month without fail. Her mother always said, "You're our golden girl, the one who will save us." But now, as she approached her family's compound, Ifema wasn't sure she'd be welcomed as a hero. She arrived without notice. No grand airport reunion. No relatives waiting. She wanted to see their true colors. The compound hadn't changed much: paint peeling, a cracked gate, the same old mango tree she used to climb as a girl. But behind the familiar facade, something was different. The place seemed colder. She knocked. When her younger brother Chuka opened the door, his eyes widened, not in joy, but in confusion. "Ifema," she forced a weary smile. "It's me." "What? How? We thought. I mean, Mama said you weren't coming back. I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to surprise you." Chuka didn't respond right away. He looked over his shoulder before stepping aside. "Come in." Inside, the house was filled with unfamiliar furniture, sleek electronics, and the scent of imported air freshener. It didn't match the image she had in mind of a family scraping by. She had sent money, faithful rent, hospital bills, school fees, emergencies. But now, standing in the marble-tiled hallway, she felt an uncomfortable chill in her spine. Her mother and Josie appeared moments later, wearing an expensive wrapper and golden bangles that clinked with every movement. "My daughter," she said, but the joy was missing from her voice. She embraced Ifema lightly, like she was hugging a stranger. "I thought you'd be happy to see me," Ifema said, trying to mask the hurt. Of course. We just didn't expect you." Ngozi glanced at her tattered bag and worn sandals. "You must be tired. Come, sit, eat something." Ifema sat, but her mind raced. Where was the excitement? The gratitude? She had built their lives with her sweat, her dreams, her youth. Over the next few days, things grew stranger. No one asked her what had happened in America. No one offered to help her settle. She slept on a couch while her younger siblings, who had grown up in her absence, now lived in rooms she had paid to renovate. One night, she overheard a conversation between her mother and Chuka. "She's not to find out," and Josie whispered. "She'll ruin everything." "Find out what?" Ifeoma's heart thudded. She began paying closer attention. Her sister, Adaeus, wore designer clothes and mentioned trips to Dubai. Chuka was planning to move abroad, applying for a student visa. What money? And then she found it. An envelope in her mother's drawer. A copy of a bank statement in Ngozi's name, showing years of steady deposits, her transfers. But withdrawals had been made for land purchases, private school tuition for Adaeus, even a down payment on a house. Not for Ifeoma, but for Chuka. The betrayal was suffocating. One evening, she confronted her mother. "You used me," Ifeoma said, trembling. "You took everything I sent and built lives for everyone else. What about me?" And Josie didn't flinch. "You're the eldest. You were supposed to help. Help, or sacrifice everything. I lived like a ghost in America. Do you even care what I went through? You survived, didn't you?" And Josie said coldly, "And look, now you're home." Ifeoma realized, then, that to them, she wasn't a person, she was a resource, a mule. And now that she was back, broken and used up, she was no longer valuable. But they were wrong, so wrong, because Ifeoma had returned, not just with a broken heart, but with eyes wide open. And now, the woman they underestimated would become their biggest reckoning. For days, Ifeoma moved through the house like a shadow, quiet, observing, calculating. She no longer asked questions. She no longer expected kindness. Her eyes, once filled with love for the family she thought she knew, were now sharp, wary. She wasn't angry. No, she was focused. If they saw her as a discarded tool, then she would show them what a broken tool could do. They had mistaken her silence for weakness, but Ifeoma had survived a decade in a foreign land. She had cleaned toilets, changed bedpans, endured cold winters, racist landlords, and nights without food. This betrayal, it was nothing she couldn't overcome. She began her plan the same way she had survived America, quietly. First, she got a job part-time at a nearby internet cafe. The pay was meager, but the access to information was priceless. Every night after her shift, she stayed late and scoured documents, searched land registries, bank databases, social media trails. She found everything: plots of land in Chuka's name, business accounts opened using her passport ID, and a fake charity under her mother's name supposedly helping women using funds that she had sent over the years. She compiled it all in a folder titled The Family Truth. Then came phase 2. She reached out to an old friend from secondary school, Namdi, now a popular local journalist known for his fearless exposés. She gave him the story, but not hers. Not yet. Instead, she asked him to publish a general investigation into the misuse of remittances sent by diaspora Nigerians. Stories of betrayal, of sisters like her, mothers like hers. Families who cashed in on one person's sacrifice and gave nothing in return. The story went viral. TV shows picked it up. People called in. Nigeria listened. Then came phase 3, her silent exodus. One Sunday morning, without warning, Ifeoma packed her bag, left a letter on the kitchen table, and disappeared. The letter read, "To the family I once loved. You didn't lose a provider. You lost a daughter. You didn't gain a house or land. You bought a graveyard of my trust. But don't worry. I've learned, and from now on, I live for me." She moved to Abuja, changed her number, and began again. This time, for herself. She used the documents she'd collected to file legal cases, fraud, misappropriation of funds, identity theft. She didn't want revenge in fire or fury. She wanted accountability. Meanwhile, the story Namdi published gained more traction when he anonymously leaked documents from Ifeoma's file. Public opinion shifted. People started calling out their own families. The diaspora, long silent in their suffering, began speaking up. 1 month later, Chuka was denied his visa due to an ongoing fraud investigation. Adi's fake business license was revoked. Ngozi's name was flagged on multiple charity fraud lists. Ifeoma watched from a distance. Not with glee but with the quiet pride of someone who reclaimed her voice. She started a foundation, Daughters First, to support women returning from the diaspora who had been used, abandoned, or betrayed. Her first major sponsor, a U.S. law firm she once cleaned floors, for whose managing partner had seen something powerful in her pain. At the opening gala, a reporter asked her, "What would you say to your family if they were watching right now?" Ifeoma paused, looked straight at the camera, and smiled. "I'd say, thank you for teaching me that love is not loyalty to abuse, and that even broken wings can still fly if you have the courage to rebuild them yourself." 2 years had passed since Ifeoma walked away from her family, not in shame, but in strength. In that time, her foundation Daughters First had grown beyond what anyone expected. What began as a one-room counseling center in Abuja was now a nationwide organization with offices in Lagos, Enugu, and Port Harcourt. Her story, once whispered, now amplified, had inspired hundreds of women to come forward. Betrayed wives, forgotten daughters, sacrificed sisters. She didn't just speak for them, she stood with them. The media dubbed her the Phoenix of the diaspora. Her foundation helped women with legal aid, mental health support, housing, and small business grants. But most of all, it gave them something no one else had: a voice. Meanwhile, the legal cases against Chuka, Adeus, and Ngozi progressed slowly. Nigeria's justice system moved at its own pace, but Ifeoma was patient. Her goal was never revenge. It was transformation. Still, consequences came. Chuka was forced to sell the house she had bought for the family. It was repossessed when the fraud allegations tainted his ability to access credit. His political dreams collapsed before they could rise. Ade's once-the-star entrepreneur was exposed in a viral video when one of her fake products caused illness in a child. Social media turned fast and vicious. As for Ngozi, she faded into silence. The community that once praised her as the mother of a successful daughter now whispered behind her back. Even the church stopped giving her the front pew. One day, Ifeoma received a letter, handwritten, simple envelope, no return address. It was from her mother. "My daughter, I know I do not deserve your time. I know I failed you. I let greed blind me. I let others shape my love. But there is not a day that I don't wish I had protected you, instead of profiting from you. I do not ask for forgiveness, only that you know I see it now." Ifeoma sat quietly after reading it. No tears, no rage, just silence. Later that night, she went to her journal. She wrote, "Pain made me leave, but purpose made me rise. They tried to erase me, but I became a story too loud to ignore." Months later, Ifeoma was invited to speak at the United Nations Conference on Women's Empowerment in Geneva. She walked onto the stage not as a former housemaid or forgotten daughter, but as a leader. She told her story, not the wounds, but the wisdom. The world listened. After her speech, a young woman approached her backstage. Nigerian accent, nervous. "I single quotes just like you," she whispered. "I'm trying to go back home. I'm scared." Ifeoma smiled gently and took her hand. "Then go back strong. Not to reclaim what they stole, but to rebuild something better. For you." 3 years later, Ifeoma stood before the same compound she once returned to, in disguise. It was faded now, unkempt. Time had taken its toll. She didn't come to fight. She came to finish the story. Ngozi opened the door. Old now, frail. She gasped. "I didn't think. I'm not here for apologies," Ifeoma interrupted softly. "I just came to say I'm free." Then she turned and walked away. No bitterness, no weight on her shoulders. She got into her car. Her driver, young woman she had personally mentored, asked gently, "You okay, Ma?" Ifeoma smiled. "I am now." And as the car pulled away, dust rising behind her, Ifeoma didn't look back. Because the past no longer defined her. The woman they discarded had become a woman the world could not ignore.